We're invested now, Seth. We have to keep doing this forever now.
Oh God. By the way, Philip, I don't think this is working out. I think we should I think we should make podcasts with other people.
No, Seth. I thought you were my forever co-host.
I don't love you anymore, Philip.
I'm gonna start a new podcast with blackjack and hookers.
With who?
Kevin. Yeah, Kevin Bacon.
Kevin's never made a podcast a day in his life. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's an amateur.
That's how we started, Seth. Now look at us. Professionals. And by professionals, I mean we've made videos.
We've made quote-unquote videos. Hello. Welcome to the Brute Neighbors podcast. We are so happy you decided to join us this evening, or morning, or whatever time it is when you accidentally clicked on our thumbnail. I'm Seth.
I'm Philip. Hello.
We've got a great show for you today.
Good start, Seth. I like your intro this week, and suddenly you're just like off the rails already.
Anyway, Philip, tell them what we're talking about this.
Don't worry, I'll save you, Seth. This week we're talking about birds. Caw. We're talking about the hit video game Among Us.
Oh my gosh, I've played that.
Same, I played it with you once. And the weekly mystery topic that it is Seth's week to bamboozle me with. So
I am very excited.
I'm sure you are. I'm scared.
Philip might get a little lost, but
in space. Last week's topic.
We do not own the rights to the Doctor Who theme song.
Not yet. Wait till we become a media empire.
That's actually going to be one of the Brute Neighbors holdings. Really. We don't know why either, but, you know.
We just somehow acquire the rights to Doctor Who. That's a loud truck. Pretty sure I picked up on the mic. Vroom, vroom.
I did.
The biker gang, they're back!
Oh, no.
They've come for vengeance.
Well, you know, you did piss them off. Well, did you know that Lin Manuel Miranda actually leads a biker gang?
I believe it. That was actually him right outside my window getting ready to break my kneecaps for insulting his singing for a third podcast.
Let's see how many podcasts we can keep that going.
A Lin Manuel insult counter? Look, he's gonna somehow, we're gonna get an actual audience and people are gonna tweet him and be like, these guys fucking hate you. I love Lin Manuel Miranda. Lin Manuel Miranda, if 5 years from now, when we become famous, if this stumbles across your desk, I love you. You're a talented man. Good writer. Very smart guy.
Don't listen to the haters out there. I care, and I think you're a great singer.
Well, you're not a great singer, but in other things, you're great. He's gonna tweet at me just in 5 years from now. He's just gonna be like, let me hear your singing, bud. Come on. Where's it at? You talk mad shit.
I can't wait to see Philip on Broadway. He's the next Hamilton.
Yeah, and I'll sing better than Lin-Manuel Miranda, even if slightly.
So birds.
Yeah, Seth's trying to fly away from this topic of discussion. Hey-o.
All right, so I was down at the bar the other day, and I was talking up some bird. And the legs...
Do you even know where you're going with this bit?
No, I was hoping you'd cut me off before I got
No,
too
I just wanted
far.
to I just wanted to watch you fly into a window like a Windex commercial.
But
yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start off. Birds are disgusting, vile creatures.
Birds are not that. Birds are fine. Well, most birds.
I'm the opposite of that. I think there is only one good kind of bird, and that is a penguin.
Okay.
Penguins are great, amazing, majestic animals. All other birds can go fuck themselves.
Also, penguins are very diverse. There are many different types
of
penguins.
Yeah, they're all great.
So
all of them are
great. I feel
great.
like you're lumping them all together. And I don't appreciate it.
I've never met a penguin I didn't like. Penguins are
Noted.
great. Salt of the earth. Wonderful creatures. They're cute and
They
flap around.
smell absolutely disgusting.
Well, all birds do, which is part of why they all suck. And penguins are just the only birds that make up for the smelling like shit constantly factor.
I remember reading a book series growing up. I don't know if you remember the Guardians of Ga'Hoole.
I've heard of it, I never read it.
But I distinctly remember there was there was a lot of weird racial subtext in that series.
Oh?
But I distinctly remember to this day the author made a point of mentioning that owls were revered by the other birds because instead of having, gross bird poops, they digested their food by making pellets. and so it was like a superiority complex because they didn't just splat out.
This was a children's book that had
Yes,
the way people shat determine their placement in society.
Correct.
I mean, that's kind of what humans do, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about your
Which is why
poops,
I
Seth.
am superior to Philip.
Yeah, mine just go splat. Seth likes to leave pellets.
It's true.
Seth leaves them everywhere, though. See, I keep my splat in one place.
Well, I like to... sometimes I get worried that, I'm gonna get lost and people aren't gonna find me, so I like to leave a trail.
Little shit pellets. This is disgusting. This is the worst tangent we've ever gone on, and we have to keep it in.
We're off to a great start here this week.
Usually when I tell people I'm a co-host of a shitty podcast, I don't mean literally.
But, I'm so sorry if this is your first episode that you're joining us in. But...
prime content. It gets better maybe from here, hopefully. Depends on who you ask.
But anyway, I do get that argument. I mean, obviously I don't get, the racial superiority of it, but,
What you trying to say here, Seth?
But, I get sort of the argument that birds are kind of, gross, particularly in regards to their poop, because, oh man, it just, it gets everywhere. It's hard to clean up.
It's like sand.
That was actually my job one summer. I worked at a marina one summer during college, and one of my main jobs was to go out onto the docks every day and scrub heron poop off of the docks. Herons would land on the docks and just cover it. And it would last at least a solid hour a day that I was doing that.
Yeah, because it gets everywhere. They're disgusting. And so growing up, I had to raise chickens, and that's where most of my bird hatred stems from. Because chickens in particular are just disgusting creatures. They're troublemakers. They'll peck at you. They're rude, and their shit is vile and gets everywhere. And you ever have to shovel chicken shit, then you'll hate birds. You will.
I like chickens as a concept. I like if I go to an old person's house and they have decorative pillows or plates with I think they're just neat as an artistic concept. But when I'm actually around chickens, I'm these animals are these are crazy.
Yeah, and there's some nice chickens, we had a bunch of chickens, and some of them I was friendly with, but they're still disgusting little bird creatures, so it's just chickens are gross.
I do have to make an exception for the Delaware blue hen, which I don't think I've ever actually seen one in person, but
you just like the idea of it.
It's our state bird. And we plaster it on everything, and I mean, it's cool. It's a blue chicken.
Seth, I don't know if I've met anyone outside of a Texan who has as much state pride as you.
Well, yeah, there aren't any other states to be as proud of as Delaware.
I guess when there's 5 people living in a state, it's you gotta find something to be gung-ho about.
I'll have you know, Delaware has a population reaching 1 million. So,
Good job, buddy. I'm proud of you.
get fucked. Although, okay, I will concede that the county you live in has more people than the state I live in.
Oh, yeah.
But
I think by quite a bit.
that's not the important part here.
Little baby state.
See, I don't know, birds are just cool. They're so diverse, and they're, like, everywhere. You have your penguins in Antarctica. Well, I mean, you have birds on every single continent. They come in so many different varieties, like penguins. You have your ostriches, your emus.
They're all assholes, though.
Your pelicans, your puffins.
See, that's the thing, is, like, almost every bird is an asshole. Like, that's the thing, is, like geese will fuck you up.
Leave them alone.
No, you leave them alone. They'll come up to you. They're like, you were just chilling, minding your own business, and they just fucking attack you. Geese are extremely territorial, even if, like, you're not anywhere near their, like, actual territory. They'll just come up to you and peck the shit out of you.
I would say, what traumatic experience have you had with birds? What you just told us.
Yeah, I've been explaining my origin story. I'm like Batman. I'm Birdman.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that every single state and most countries have an official bird representing them. So
well, okay, so I get humanity's fascination with the bird, because the idea of flight is a very beautiful, interesting thing. And outside of insects and bats, which are much less widespread, as you said, like birds are the flying creature. So I get why humanity is obsessed with the concept of flight. Humanity loves the concept of freedom and going where you want, wherever you want, whenever you want. We love that. And so, like, the fact that birds are the only creature that, like you said, are everywhere, that's not, bugs, because no one likes bugs. I see why that's what we latched onto. But we can fly now.
So we can leave them in the dust.
Yeah, it's like we've moved on. We don't need this bird fascination anymore. We're past that. We've gone forward. The Wright brothers gave us the gift of freedom from the bird patriarchy. I don't know why. There's probably a better word than patriarchy, but...
Okay, well, Philip, just as an example of how we are never going to get over birds, I want to remind you how much we still talk about the dodo, which lived on one island and died out 400 years ago. And that's still, like, a common topic of discussion.
See, but the dodo...
We can't stop. We latch on to certain things and obsess.
Okay, but the dodo at this point is more of like an Aesop's fable almost of, hey, don't be stupid and let people just eat you. Like
don't be stupid and let people just...
That's the new slogan for the Brute Neighbors podcast. Don't be stupid and let people eat you. It's just that's easy.
That's actually going to be one of our t-shirts.
I can't wait for us to actually make merch someday, and none of these things that we say will be merch.
Hey, okay, I'm going to make that calendar. Gosh darn it.
What was our month, our fictional month? Brutober?
Yeah, Brutober.
It's just as bad then as it was however many months ago. That was months ago.
Feels fresh.
That was like a couple of months ago. We've been doing this podcast since April, Seth.
Yeah.
It's October. It's
Brutober.
Holy shit!
Brutober.
We missed Brutober. It's Brutober, guys.
I was looking at the video, I was looking at the video list earlier today on our channel, and I looked at the first episode, the Coco episode, and saw it was 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, have we really been doing it for that long?
It's crazy.
This is episode 16, for Pete's sake.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, yes, we've missed some weeks here and there, but overall, we've been doing this pretty consistently. And, we've gotten more consistent as the longer we've done it. And, I feel like that's just par for the course. That's good. We are official podcasters, Seth. We were like, we're gonna do a
Wow.
podcast, haha. Then we actually just said, I was like, hey Seth, we're actually gonna record today. And you're just like, oh, okay.
You hear that, all you listeners that actually made it to this part of the podcast? We are official podcasters.
So nah. So how many people you think have gotten to it? This is probably what, 10, 15 minutes in?
Yeah,
5. I'm gonna say 5.
yeah.
I think 5 people have made it this far. Thank you.
You guys are the backbone that keeps us alive.
Yeah, we love all 5 of you.
Just like birds.
I don't like birds. Birds are bad. We do not insult our audience like this.
So I do want to go back to something you were talking about earlier. You were like, "Oh, geese, if you get up close to them, they'll attack you." I will say the avian community does seem to like enjoy waging war on us.
It's true.
Well, swans are the most violent creatures I have ever.
Yet we portray them as these like beautiful, peaceful, just minding their own business. Swans will fuck a dude up, man.
Well, and they are massive. They are like the size of a person. And, well, I mean, okay, maybe like half a person.
I guess it depends on the person, but...
Yeah, but no, they are so much bigger than you actually think they are in real life. And, like, if you go anywhere near them, they will put their snake head out at you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's the thing. I again, like, okay, some chickens aren't assholes and, like, will just chill with you. But most chickens are also assholes and will just fuck you up. Emus are super aggressive. They will fuck you up.
Yeah. Well, and I love reading about the emu war. I think that is such an interesting concept.
Emu war?
Yeah. Have you not heard of that?
No.
Okay, so I forget when it was. It was like the 30s or 40s. But Australia had this really bad problem with emus, where emus were coming in and eating all the farmers' crops. And so the government was like, okay, well, we can't let these birds keep on destroying our farmers' crops. And so they launched this military effort where they put soldiers out into the bush and had them, like, massacre as many emus as they could.
Oh my god.
And you know what? The emus won. Because it turns out the military is not equipped to take on nature.
I've never heard of this before.
Yeah.
So the emus won. The emus took over Australia and are now... I'm just saying, have any of us been to Australia? Like, it's actually just populated by emus.
The current Australian government is actually a puppet state for the emu collective.
They want the outside world to think that humans are still running the show there, but we cracked the code, and now the emu assassins are going to take us out.
Also interesting to look up is the goat wars in...
How many animal wars are there?
More than you'd think. But I think it was the Galapagos Islands. But they just started, like, 3 goats showed up to the island, and within 2 decades they had multiplied by the hundreds and were just destroying the island's ecosystem, and they just came in and just slaughtered this entire population.
Oh my god.
It's crazy stuff.
Who would win in a fight? An emu or a kangaroo? I'm sure it's happened. They both live in Australia, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like, the T-Rex and the Triceratops, one of those great battles of natural history.
Millennia, yeah. So who's your money on? Because kangaroos will also fuck you up.
Okay.
But emus they're troopers.
So I don't really know, because they both have such different strengths. Like, Because kangaroos are like, they're tanks.
Yeah.
They will mess you up. But emus just, like, they run fast, they have long necks. Like, I feel like they could, like, stick their neck out and go for, like, a kill shot.
Yeah. Because, like, that's the thing, is, like, they both are very strong kickers, too. But, like, the advantage that kangaroos have is they do use their hands still. And, like, they can basically punch you pretty aggressively. Like, emus don't have that. So but they do have their beak and their neck as a secondary attack. I think it would very much depend on the arena that we stage this fight in.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Dogfighting, but with emus and kangaroos.
the Brute Neighbors Arena.
Oh,
Battle
no.
Dome.
That's definitely not incredibly illegal, and also very morally reprehensible. Doing that to animals.
They put the brute in Brute Neighbors.
That's where the brute came from. You thought it was a Walden reference? No.
Did you guys know it was a Walden reference? You guys might be learning this for the first.
Yeah, no one knows why we're called this. No one gives a shit about Walden. I didn't even know about it.
It tested well.
We put it through screenings, and people just like, yeah.
That might sound like something I'd listen to. I don't know.
Like, compared to your other names, yes. I don't remember what our other names were, but a lot of them were pretty bad.
They were really bad.
Like, we had one or two, like, that almost, like, I feel like we were, like, close to cracking something on them, but, like, none of them just panned out.
I thought Phil Seth was a shoo-in.
They're garbage. Just like the
What's
people.
What would be, if you had to pick a favorite kind of bird, what would yours be?
Penguin.
Penguin? Okay.
Yeah, they're great. The only...
What kind of penguin?
Probably emperor penguin, because I'm a basic bitch, but, like,
well, yeah.
puffins are cool.
See, but I also get, like, Rockefeller vibes from you.
Which ones are those again?
They're the ones with, like, the yellow hair.
No, I've never been a big Rockefeller penguin guy.
Hmm.
I don't know. The fray always kind of weirded me out a bit. Like, they're cool, but they always feel like they would be the more aggressive penguins. I'm pretty sure Rockefeller penguin was voiced by Robin Williams in Happy Feet.
Yes, it was. Rip Robin Williams.
Oh, I'm sad. I miss him. He was and still is my favorite actor.
That's fair.
Great guy.
I don't know. I have a couple that I really like. Growing up, I was super interested by rainbow buntings, because I had this... I don't know if you know what they are, but, like, they're these, like, birds with mainly blue bodies, but red, green, and yellow plumage coming off of it, and it's just... I don't know, it's very colorful, it's very pretty. And I've never seen one in real life, but I had this book of birds that I got as a Christmas gift, and I remember always flipping to that page and thinking it was cool. Okay, I know they are, like, terrible birds, and, like, they are just the biggest assholes of the bird community, but I love blue jays. I think they are just the coolest looking birds.
See, I'm trying to think. I like hummingbirds enough. They're okay.
Yeah.
I always like, it's always cool when you see a hummingbird. I'm like, aw, little dude, just living his best life. I'm just going to go through the birds and why I dislike them.
Okay, do it.
Let's see. Pigeons are disgusting and creepy, and they... do you remember Sesame Street with
Rats
Bert?
with wings.
They're rats with wings. You remember Bert from Sesame Street? He had that weird obsession with pigeons, and it always creeped me out. And I was like, you're creepy, and so are the birds.
Okay, some people have hobbies, thank you very much.
You seem like you'd be a bird watcher, Seth.
I could never have the patience for it, but, like, I like watching birds.
There it is. Let's see. Emus are assholes. Ostriches are assholes.
Pigeons always have those messed up feet that creep me out.
They're just
especially
creepy.
Like
their
city
eyes.
ones,
Look at their eyes, man. Like they're weird. like pigeons would be the ones to murder you, and not in like a cool way. Like emus like would kill you, and at least like when you're a ghost, you can be like, man, I got fucked up by an emu. Like a pigeon will just like poison you in your sleep. And it'll be like a long-term poison that slowly rips apart your insides. I don't think they care enough.
I think they'll just steal all our shit and run away.
Pigeons like genuinely freak me out, and I don't know why. They're just creepy, weird little birds, and I hate them. Owls feel like they could start a coup of the planet, and I don't like that.
Maybe they deserve to.
Honestly, they'd probably run it better than we've been running the planet.
Well, according to Guardians of Ga'Hoole, that may not be the case.
Dude, creepy owls in media is a common but interesting little like sub-trope of owls, because owls are like usually portrayed in media as like wise and respected and stuff, but then like there's some owls like have you ever seen Secret of Nim?
No, I have not.
There's a creepy owl in that. I feel like I'm missing some. Like, I've seen a lot of creepy owls, and like they're like, owls are really creepy if they're like portrayed that way. Like the whole turning their neck thing, their eyes, like their size is like they're actually fucking huge, but they just like shrivel themselves up until the time is right. Oh, the owl in Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll fuck you up, dude. Like, owls are freaky, and I feel like they're smarter than me. So that makes it even scarier.
And I feel like owls are like some of the coolest looking birds, but they only come out at night, and because they only come out at night, they're always in like the shadows, and they're kind of shifty, and they kind of give that air of like creepiness. And
yeah, I also only come out at night.
It's true.
Maybe I'm an owl. Hoo-hoo!
Has Philip been an owl this whole time? Tell us in the comments what you think.
What do you think? Has Philip always been an owl, or is it a recent development?
What kind of owl would Philip be? These are the questions we're looking for answers for.
It'd be a spotted
that question
owl.
Didn't make sense. What?
It did not at all. I feel like it'd be a spotted owl.
Spotted owl. Okay,
Yeah,
I can see it.
Spotted owl. Yeah.
Yeah.
What other birds are there? Eagles look cool, but they scare me because they're just big old birds.
Yeah.
Like I think rip me apart with their talons.
Bald eagles are really interesting creatures. It's weird because like whenever you see one, it's like, especially living in the United States, that there is this air of reverence to it, and like, it's always like, did you hear their bald eagles nesting on, like, 5th Street? And but also, fun fact, when you hear the eagle call portrayed in media, usually it's not the eagle's actual cry. Because the eagle's actual cry is very weak and, like, wimpy sounding. It's like,
yeah.
And so they use, like, a hawk call to give that
it's actually more of a who's your favorite Star Trek captain? Mine's John Luke Picard.
Sad joke. Nobody laughed.
Great joke. Our audience loves that joke, don't you, audience? Tell Seth in the comments, please.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so other birds that you hate.
Oh God, there's so many. I never got the appeal of doves.
Yeah. Well,
people really romanticize doves, and like they're just another bird.
They're just the cousins of pigeons that lived in the right neighborhood and got sent to the right schools.
They're suburban pigeons.
Yeah.
They're soccer mom pigeons.
Pretty much.
Let's see. Fuck. There's so many birds, and I hate all of them. Ducks are just smaller geese.
Aww. Ducks are cool. I mean, okay.
Ducks
I don't
are
know.
pretty shitty.
Yeah, I lived near a pond for most of the last year, and these droves of ducks would just roam around the neighborhood, and they were like big ol' ugly ducks too. Like they had this like really weird looking red netting over their faces, and just real ugly looking things. But they, every so often, they would just have a drove of ducklings around them, and those were always super cute.
Yeah. So, okay, that's the thing with birds, is there's a very short window where they're really cute. Because, like, when they're first born, like featherless, they're disgusting. Featherless birds are just, they're ugly little creatures. But then, like, they like become a little older, and they get their feathers and stuff, and like chicks and stuff, they're adorable. They're cute. They go cheep cheep cheep. You can hold them. They're just chilling, living their best life.
Get them in your 3rd grade science class,
or just
play with
in
them.
a little pen in your
you get
living
to
room,
experience
if you live in the South.
the event of death for the first time when you realize that one of the chicks is gone the next day when you come into class.
Oh wait, maybe that's why I'm so fucked up. It's just it's like we would get like every year we would get like a new batch of chickens, and like at least like typically like usually when you get those big batches, a decent number of them die. That's just how it works. And like so like 2 or 3 would die every batch, and I'm just like I became numbed to the concept of death, because like sometimes like, oh, another chick's dead, go clean it up, Philip. It's like, oh.
Well, you've killed one before, haven't you?
Yeah, I had to kill, not a chick, it was a full-grown chicken.
No, Philip, I think you murdered a chicken.
No, I never murder a baby bird. Yeah,
this just in, Philip is a child murderer.
Oh my god. Infanticide. That's what it's called, infanticide?
Hey, okay, Philip, you're out here complaining about birds, but you've already gotten your revenge, so...
Yeah, I did, yeah, like we raised chickens for like meat and stuff, and like it was the time to kill them. I forget what it's called because I've purged most of those memories from my mind. But yeah, they were like, all right, your turn, you gotta go kill one, and I had to kill a chicken. It wasn't the one I killed, but basically what you do, the trigger warning, by the way, is for, killing animals, and it gets gory.
I think I'm gonna skip.
You're stuck in this, Seth. You're a co-host. So how you kill chickens is like you hang them upside down, slit their throats, and let them bleed out. Yeah, and one time, one of them, that happened. Maybe I shouldn't tell this story.
Yeah, no, I think we got the idea.
The moral is that chickens can live with their heads chopped off for a little bit. That's if you want more juicy details.
I was gonna springboard off of that, but now I think I'm gonna change the subject entirely because I feel like I'm too bummed out now.
Just know for a fact that chickens can live with their heads chopped off, and it's very disturbing. And I won't tell the full story of that. I'll trim that down a bit because it's very disturbing. It is October. It is horror month.
Oh god. We are talking about the descendants of dinosaurs. So really what you gotta think is you're killing the descendant of a dinosaur. You're killing a dinosaur.
Yeah. I've killed a dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur slayer, Seth. I'm badass.
You are. I think it's really interesting, all the stuff that comes out about how all these dinosaurs probably had feathers and just kind of looked like giant birds. And you see like the artistic renderings of that, and all your biggest fears from Jurassic Park are just giant chickens.
See, to me, like, everyone, when like that first came out, that like, oh no, dinosaurs actually have feathers, people were like, oh, that makes them so lame, like they're not scary. Bull fucking shit, dude.
Oh, no.
That makes them scarier. It's a chicken with teeth
that
and like is 3 stories tall. That's fucking. Yeah. If you saw a 3-story high chicken with teeth, that would be frightening.
let us not act as though Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius the movie did not give us nightmares growing up.
But yeah, no, that would be so frightening. Like, dinosaurs are way scarier with the idea that they were birds. Like, that is way more frightening than, I mean, don't get me wrong, dinosaurs would still be terrifying, regardless. But, like, with feathers, too, especially, like, what if more of them could fly than we thought? What if it wasn't just the pterodactyl? What if they could all fly? Imagine a flying giant thing with teeth.
Well, something tells me that the T-Rex's wingspan was not going to get it anywhere.
Maybe its wings were its legs. Like, he propelled himself forward like a dolphin.
Now there's well, no, never mind. I'm not even gonna even go down that rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole.
I'm just picturing this T-Rex on the edge of a cliff being like, I'm gonna be just like all the other birds.
Oh no. It just splat. It'd be a big splat too. T-Rexes were big boys.
Well, now I'm sad. Way to go, Philip.
If I haven't made you sad at least 3 times an episode, I'm not doing my job.
Well, you're great at your job.
I do my best. I've been told I'm good. I'm a hard worker. Good work ethic. Should probably wrap it up.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts on the avians?
No, that's about it. I'm pro birds. Most of the time.
So, this might be a first for me on this podcast. I am firmly, with the sole exception of penguins, anti-bird. Is that my first anti? Is that my first full anti?
I think it might be.
Episode 16. Finally did it. 17? 17, actually. No, 16. I don't know the fuck, Ron.
It's 16.
Time for a quinceañera.
Philip doesn't care enough about this podcast to keep track of numbers, so.
Bruh, I gotta edit this every week. I listen to our voices for like 4 or 5 hours every week.
You hear that? He listens to his own voice for 4 or 5 hours every week. What a narcissist.
I do love my voice. It's real nice. I definitely, like, that is one thing. Like, everyone's always baffled by the fact that I like the sound of my own voice. I genuinely like the sound of my own voice. I think it's cool.
And apparently I do not share that. And it's sad, too, because I listen to these, and I just spend the whole time in perpetual, like, cringe mode.
Like, there'll be sometimes I'm like, man, I really stuttered there, and, like, that's annoying. But, like, overall, I'm like, no, I like hearing my own voice. And apparently that is a, like, telltale sign of narcissism.
No, I'm sure you're fine, Philip.
I like to waffle back and forth between extreme amounts of narcissism and extreme amounts of self-hate. That's a very healthy combo.
Yeah, definitely.
It balances each other out. If you hate yourself a lot and love yourself a lot, then you're just neutral. That's how that works, right?
Correct.
All right, anti-bird. Birds are awful, except penguins. They're cool. March of the Penguins, Happy Feet, Surf's Up, other bird movies.
I forgot about Surf's Up. That's a great movie.
I watched it for the first time last year. It's pretty good. We should add it to the list.
Yeah, surfing penguins. What's not to love?
Fuck yeah, it's a great movie. I genuinely enjoyed it. All right, we're going all in. We're invested now, Seth. We have to keep doing this forever now.
Oh God.
Our names are about to be officially attached.
By the way, Philip, I don't think this is working out. I think we should I think we should make podcasts with other people.
No, Seth. I thought you were my forever co-host.
I don't love you anymore, Philip.
I'm gonna start a new podcast with blackjack and hookers.
With who?
Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin's never made a podcast a day in his life. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's an amateur.
That's how we started, Seth. Now look at us. Professionals. And by professionals, I mean we've made videos.
We've made quote-unquote videos.
Hey, so I guess we're back in.
So anyway, yeah.
Let's see it. We can probably use some of that a little bit.
We should make that just like our pre-title sequence.
I've also really liked the title music. Like, I think it actually works pretty
yeah.
well. It's a nice little, gives us some production value, some snaz.
I agree.
And like, I think I found a pretty good song. I think it's nice.
I agree. I you know, it really captures the feeling of warmth in the neighborhood. That we're cool and edgy, but like we're your friends. You can
we're
come
edgy.
to us for a cup of sugar.
We might make a mildly mean joke about you, but we'll still give you that sugar.
Damn straight.
Lin Manuel Miranda, you can have my sugar any day. So
I there's so many mixed signals from you, Philip.
It's called it's negging is when you someone you're interested in, you insult them to make them want you.
Philip, you're a whore.
Yeah, I am. Only for you and Lin Manuel Miranda.
Philip, you're an imposter. You kind of sus, TBH.
Am I sus? No. I swear I was in the reactor.
Vote him out.
So Among Us.
If you are listening to this, not within like the month after this goes up, because Among Us is a multiplayer, online multiplayer game where if you're not familiar with it, you get this app, you join a room with a bunch of other people, and it's essentially Mafia set in space. You have to figure out who the alien imposters are and finish all these tasks before the imposters kill the rest of the crew. Mm-hmm. And so it's fun because it's like it's your regular mystery game, but like it's a lot more in the moment. It's not just sort of sitting around trying to figure things out. Like, you are actually doing things and feeling like you are putting yourself in the character, and that definitely like brings up your anxiety and investment in the game.
See, it's a lot like the Jackbox game Push the Button, except it has actual gameplay. It's not just a like social, like playing your phone. Well, you are playing it on your phone, but it's like there's actual gameplay involved. It's a lot more, like you said, you invest yourself in it a little bit more, because it's like an actual, like, not that Jackbox games aren't actual games. I love the Jackbox games. Yeah. But it's a little more fleshed out and in terms of the gameplay itself, and it's a lot of fun. I only started playing it a couple of weeks ago. I have played a couple times with Seth, and I've played a decent bit with other people as well, and it's a fun game. I realized, though, I already knew this, but Among Us has made me really realize that I'm a terrible human being. Yeah.
It's crazy just how quickly this game is able to take your levels of paranoia and willingness to throw other people under the bus from 0 to 100 very quickly.
Well, for me, it's not even like I have discovered I am a very good imposter, which I'm an asshole, because I will lie just my ass off, and because like as a human, I'd say I'm a reasonably trustworthy human. So people are like, oh yeah, it can't be Philip. He's, even though literally, so I played a game last week with some friends. I was imposter 6 times in a row.
Oh my gosh.
Which shouldn't be statistically possible.
No.
Because we were playing with like 8 to 10 people at all times. I won 5 of those 6 games as imposter.
They probably thought, oh, it's not possible for Philip to have gotten it.
And I felt really bad because the 6th time, because I take advantage of those things. I'm like dude, I kind of like was an asshole because I was like, oh, dude, come on, it's my 6th. This is my first time being crewmate in 5 rounds. Like, you're really gonna vote me out? And they felt guilty and didn't vote me out.
Yeah. No, I've definitely done that before, where like I will leverage the fact that I'd be like, okay, you've seen me do all these things while I'm imposter. Like I'm clearly not doing it now, so.
See, I played the long game, and I did a similarly asshole thing when I played with you. I forget what the exact circumstances were, but it was, I believe I used it against you specifically. I was like, it was something about it was like there was a sabotaging, and like the reactor or whatever was going off, and I went and fixed it as the imposter. And people were like, my defense was like, oh, like, well, I went and fixed it. I was there, so, like, I couldn't be the imposter. And people were like, well, you can fix it as the imposter. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a game mechanic. And
yeah, okay, when people act dumb on that game, I will always believe them. And that has gotten me killed more times than I can count. People will be like, oh, where's the door to this room? And I'll be like, oh, let me go, check it out, and get murdered.
See, the downside is that because, like, I am somehow a really good imposter, but I'm a terrible crewmate. I'm terrible at the mini games, which shouldn't be a thing. I'm terrible at them.
I'm a great crewmate. I go back and forth as to which I prefer playing. Because imposter, you can do more with, and like it's fun, particularly if there's another imposter, because y'all can work together to kind of screw with people. But also sometimes I just like the simplicity of going about my day, doing my tasks, running away from people who seem suspicious.
Yeah. See, I would much rather be an imposter typically, not 6 times in a row, because then it's just unfun, and like now none of your friends trust anything you will ever say to them ever again.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, just the paranoia it builds up. I've played online a good amount, although I prefer playing with people I know. And the amount of times I have been in a random game and people will just, like, I'll be the imposter, and people, before I have time to even defend myself, people will be attacking each other, neither of which are the imposter, and so I just have to sit back and be like, oh man, that's a shame that these two guys are probably the imposter.
I've learned that like these games like this and like faking it in Jackbox, push the button, I've learned that I am a really good liar, and I don't know how I feel about that. Cause like,
you're untrustworthy, Philip.
Cause like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'd say I'm a pretty honest, straightforward person typically.
That was a lie. He just lied to you. Was it convincing?
You tell me. Did you believe me? But like I'm always about like just whatever it is. I'm gonna say how I feel. I'm gonna say what I think is right. A very truthful, upfront person. But then, like I think almost because I am that typically, that makes it like A, more likely for people to believe me when I am lying, and B, like I can in these games I can play that against people. It's a shitty thing to do, but it's a game. That's part of the game, so it's fine.
Philip is a very passionate person, if y'all haven't picked up on that. And so if you are against him, he can get pretty intense pretty quickly. And so if you're like, yo, Philip is sus, he will be like, how dare you are insulting my entire family line. This is how I always am. This is, if you can't accept me at who I am now, you don't deserve me.
The sad thing is he's not even being that overdramatic.
No, I'm not.
Like I hardcore like make people feel bad about voting me out. Like I will guilt them into keeping me around, and then I'm the imposter.
The amount of times that I have voted for someone and given the disclaimer that I think it's this other person, but it doesn't feel right voting for them.
Like, I was playing a game the other night, and, like, I killed somebody, and immediately walked out, and someone else walked in and immediately found the body. And, like, so they, dead to rights, knew that I was the person.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 2-killer round. And she called the meeting, and she was like, I know it's Brown. And, like, even though the other killer wasn't even in the room, she guessed him right, too, somehow, magically. And I somehow managed to convince her that it was someone who wasn't even on that side of the ship. I was like, well, wait, it wasn't me. Are you sure it wasn't Black? Like, we're similar colors. Like, I was over in navigation. Like, I was doing the shooty game. And, and even though she saw me murder this person, I somehow managed to convince her that I was not the imposter, and we won the game.
Our friend Jada is the worst at guilting people into making you think she's not the imposter, because she seems to be the imposter way too much for, like, statistics to support it. Like I'd say she's the imposter 25% of the time, and she has a couple of tells of she will self-report a lot. Like, she will report a dead body that she has killed a lot.
Yeah.
She will just make very passionate pleas on her defense, even if she's guilty. And we've gotten to a point where we kind of understand what her tells are, and so we'll jump on and be like, it's a self-report, it's clearly Jada. She will get so offended. She'll be like, you guys always think it's me, you guys are discriminating against me, and, like, I can never play this game, you guys are always killing me, and it's not fair. And then we're like, well, I guess we better skip, because we don't know that it's her.
And then it's her.
And she has won a lot of times because we will not vote her out because we don't have solid evidence.
Yeah, that's the thing, is, like, I feel like I haven't played online. I don't really want to, because, like, a lot of the fun for me, like, I don't want to lie over texts. Like, and, like, I feel like,
well, and it's very hard to lie over text.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
it's hard to make a convincing argument over text.
Yeah, which, like, I can see why some people would prefer that, because it does take that human factor of, like, misleading someone and guilting someone. You can't really do that over text. But, like, I guess just part of my charm is I can just be like, yeah, no, like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Why would you do that to me? And, like, I can make them feel bad for voting for me. And it's very tragic. Well, I've murdered many people.
People online are just
assholes.
It's a different ballgame. Some people are just trolls and just doing things to be funny, which will completely screw up a game if one person does something to just screw around.
Yeah.
Then you have other people that are just downright either sore losers or bad players, and they will quit if they get killed, or they will specifically not vote to drag on the voting time, even, like, if they know they're being voted off. And so then that's just
rude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and then there are the people who just, and I've kind of gathered this is the nature with a lot of gaming communities, and obviously a minority of gaming communities, but, like, still a present feature nonetheless, of just really terrible people making, with racist names, racist and sexist comments all throughout the game, and I'm just like, I can't play with this sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, is, like, I love gaming. I love video games. I think they're a great art form. They're a lot of fun. That's a big reason I don't play as many multiplayer games online as I used to with random people, because just not all, like, again, like, the minority it's a vocal minority will just say vile things, and it's just like, I don't want to be around this. Like, I'm trying to chill after work. I don't want to like hear slurs and be called slurs. Like, I'm just trying to have a good time, and like it's just like, and that's why, like, I don't like calling myself a gamer, because like there is a stigma that like a lot of gamers are like that. And it's not the majority by any means.
Oh, no, not at all.
It's a lot of gamers are really fucking cool, but it's just, there's enough people who will just yell slurs over the Xbox mic, and like will just, and it's just like, that's not fun for, like, are they even having fun? Like, what does that even do for them? I don't know. It's a whole thing. It's annoying. It's just like, I'm just tired. As someone who has gamed most of his life, it's just tiring. It's just like, you make more people not want to play. Like, you're driving people out. And like, that's how your favorite games will die out, and not people won't play them anymore, because you drove them out by being a shithead.
Yeah.
So, don't be a shithead. That's Philip's advice for the day.
I will say, this is the first like online multiplayer game that I've gotten really into since like Club Penguin and Pop Tropica when I was a kid. And I think that's really fun that a game like that can get people really invested at all ages. Because I'm sure there's a bunch of middle schoolers playing this too. Oh,
for sure.
Just
100%.
As us 20-somethings are.
Oh yeah, and like there's 30 and 40-year-olds playing it too. Like it's interesting that it became such a phenomenon now, because this game has actually been out since 2018.
Yeah. Well, and I'd gotten a text a few months ago, like in June, where someone had played the push the button game with me on Jackbox, and they were like, download this app, it's just like push the button, and I shrugged it off, and all of a sudden it became this phenomenon where I'm seeing references and jokes to it all over social media, and it's really neat. It's interesting. I don't know if there's any real reason why it took off so quickly.
It's a case of like, I mean, a lot of streamers and YouTubers started playing it, and that kind of picked up the momentum. But I think a lot of it is honestly because of Corona and quarantine. Like, people wanted any way to like communicate with their people miss game nights, and I know I do. Hanging out with friends, playing games.
I've been talking and hanging out with some friends through this game more than I have in like the last year.
Oh yeah, no, there were some people I played with yesterday who, like, everyone I've played with so far has been people I've known in real life, but like some friends I like that I played with the other night, I hadn't talked to in like 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, and like a mutual friend is like, oh hey, so and so's gonna hop on. And I'm like, oh man, I haven't talked to them in forever, and like we played Among Us, and I murdered them, but that's how you keep friendships. You murder your friends.
Sometimes that's how you got to do it.
Yeah. Like it is, and like honestly, like it always is nice, like through as shitty of a year as this has been.
Yeah. It
has been nice seeing like the little things that have been like I know, like, we talked a lot over the summer, both like even without the podcast, we were talking like pretty much every day for a minute there, and I mean doing the podcast and like making this channel. And like I did that with a lot of friends, like a lot of people I barely talked to at all. I started talking to over Zoom and stuff. Like people I hadn't talked to in 2 or 3 years, I started talking to over Zoom, and like.
Well, yeah, there were a couple of people that I was in classes with before quarantine started, and after quarantine, because it was an online format, I would start to talk with these people who I'd never talked to in class, and like. A couple of us would hang out, even though we'd never, like, online, even though we'd never spoken to each other in person, just because we interacted through class chat rooms.
Yeah, there's been a few people like that now. Like, I'm in a few different, like, Discord servers and stuff, where it's, like, with, like, different, like, in real life friends and groups, and, like, some people will be in there, and I'm like, oh, I've heard of you before, like, among mutual circles, but we've never talked. And like now we're friends, even though I've only seen them in person like 2 or 3 times. It's crazy, but like really, that is one good thing about this is like while it has been so disconnecting and distanced from so many comforts in life, in some ways it's also reconnected some people, and like it's also made us value those connections more, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. This has been a very significant, just I guess, development year.
Yeah.
Because while so much shitty stuff has been happening, just hit after hit after hit, I mean, just some really, really great stuff and some really important stuff that would have never happened otherwise has happened because of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's... I mean, that there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, I'd rather it have not have
I would
a
have
global
also
pandemic and lots of social unrest and terrible things happening in our nation. But yeah, like I feel like you have to look at the good things, even if they're very seemingly small. Like the fact that there's good at all is meaningful and impactful, and you gotta look at those things and focus on them, and just because like that's the thing is like this is a bonding year for a lot of people. Like the people you are still in contact with, I feel like you value more of just like, oh, I haven't been able to see this person in forever just because quarantine and trying social distancing, and like I feel like you value those bonds a little bit more now. So you gotta look at the bright side where you can.
It doesn't necessarily feel like we're just a me or an I anymore. It feels like I'm finally among us.
Thanks for tuning in to the Brute Neighbors podcast. I don't know how much more you want to add on Among Us. Do you have a favorite map? There's 3 maps.
Yeah, I don't know. I like each of them. Each of them has their strengths. I think Polis is probably the most fun just because it's harder than, or it's like more challenging than the Skeld, but it's also not as just sort of all over the place as Mira HQ.
Skeld is the ship, right?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't played the HQ much. I've only played it once or twice. But Polis, I like Polis. The issue is, like, it's a lot. I feel like it's kind of imposter favoring. Because there's lots of dead ends. There's lots of there's the airlock that makes it really difficult to get out of places quickly.
And you have the lab in the corner of the room.
Yeah. That
is just completely disconnected, you've got to speed run through there and hope you don't get caught.
Yeah, that one's a rough one for I said survivors, crewmate. I've been playing a lot of Dead by Daylight for all you listeners who know what that is. But it's I like it a lot as imposter because I like imposter. I like Polis, but I feel like as a crewmate, it's a rough one. The Skeld is probably the most balanced between all of them.
Yes.
Which it makes sense because it's like the default map. And then HQ, I barely remember what it's like. It's fine, I guess.
Do you have a specific color or outfit that you always play in?
So I've started out doing the blues mostly. I've recently gravitated towards black because there's a horn hat, and it's I know you haven't seen The Witch, but there's a goat called Black Phillip in that. So it's a pun because my name is Philip and it's black and he's goat, Black Phillip. So yeah, that's what I've been going for. But unfortunately black is the most sought after color. And it's unfortunate, so I have to really race for it to grab it. I've been going as brown a lot lately.
Okay.
Just out of necessity, because all the other good colors are taken, and I'm I guess I don't mind brown, so I play as that.
I am always red, and that's just because that's the color I was put as my first time playing, and so
You're
I
bonded
just
to
always,
it now.
yeah. And now, I mean, it feels weird if I am, like, if I am ever not red and somebody starts talking about red in the chat, I will immediately jump in and start arguing, like, oh, I wasn't on that side of the ship.
And then you're like, that's sus, purple.
Okay, yeah, now I am being sus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I never mentioned the amount of times that I will get voted out for doing nothing just because people don't find me believable.
You gotta be convincing, Seth. You gotta manipulate
Apparently.
people's emotions.
But yeah, no, I'm red. If I can't get red, I'm dark blue. If I can't be dark blue, I'm dark green. I always wear my cowboy hat because I'm a cowboy.
On a steel horse he rides. Oh, before we finish Among Us, I have to say, so I've had to play on mobile because my laptop's been having issues lately.
Mm-hmm.
The maze mini game / task is the worst thing on the fucking planet if you're on mobile.
In Polis?
And in Polis, the little maze thing where you gotta drag the thing.
Yeah.
And if you go over, you have to completely restart.
I have only played on mobile, and I agree, that is the most obnoxious task.
Just like, it's both, at random times it's either way too sensitive or not sensitive at all. And
Yeah.
there's no telling which it's gonna be in the moment. And like, if you fuck it up, there's no going back, you have to completely restart. And it just takes me forever, and I usually get fucking killed there because I'm just standing there like an asshole trying to get through this stupid maze. And I hate it. It is like, I would rather do the Simon Says task, that one. People complain about that one because it does take a while, but like, I can do that though.
Yeah, I don't have issues with Simon Says unless I'm getting killed while doing it.
Yeah.
I hate the download ones because those take forever and you're just standing around.
I feel like most of the basic download ones aren't too bad. I don't like the one. I think it's a long task, so it makes sense. But it's in Medbay, the one that like fills the vials, and then you have to fuck. I hate the ones if you have to leave and come back. I hate that.
Yeah, I at first I didn't mind the connecting wires task, but as I played more and more, the more it just became, I would. It would become a slog, just running all over the ship.
The fact there's like three
different parts of one.
I really, even though it's the easiest task, I really don't like the trash chute one where you hold down the lever.
Yeah.
It's just boring. It's like, of all the like you have all this other fancy sci-fi shit and like, oh, I'm letting trash out. Like, like what's the point?
I don't mind it, but I can definitely see how that's how you see that.
I like the shooty game with the asteroids.
Yeah. I really like the ones where I only have to, like, click one button and it connects the wires into place. And I'm like, wow, okay, task done.
See, like, on like, as, like, with the focus of getting tasks done as quickly as possible, those tasks are good, yes, but I don't feel satisfied. I want to feel like I've done something. I want to feel like I contributed. Like, I just pressed download, yippee.
So next time I play with Phillip and I'm the imposter, I'm gonna kill him first, while he's doing a task.
The thing is, you won't get imposter. I will 6 times in a row. And the beautiful thing is, I think I was actually imposter like 12 times that night. Just 6 of them happened to be in a row.
I see, and I feel like statistically I am not the imposter a lot.
Yeah. It's weird, because like, I noticed that like there were a few people that like, because I played with a few different groups, and like some of them more frequently than others, but like it seemed like there was like, in like the group I was playing with the other day kind of regularly, I was almost always the imposter, and then there were like 2 other people that like were pretty frequently imposter, and then everyone else, like, if there were 2 imposters in play, it would be one of us 3, and then maybe randomly one of the others. Like, it was always, like, one of these three same people, and then maybe someone else tagged on. Like, it was... Like, I feel like it shouldn't... I don't know if that's... I guess if it's purely random, it is possible. But, like, it seems... Even with, like, pure randomness, it seems odd.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's a strange... Because, like, that's a frequent, like... Not necessarily complaint, but, like, note that people have is, like... People find themselves either, like, they're always the imposter or they're never the imposter. Like, it seems like there's very few that's, like, an even split. Like, they're, like, 50-50 survivor or... I keep saying survivor, crewmate or imposter. But I enjoy imposter the most. Unfortunately, though, like, I've done it so much now with the same people that, like... Now it's just the default is like, oh, it's Phillip. And, like, I can only play the, oh, you guys always do this to me card so many times before one burns out, too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm running out of ways to manipulate people.
Well, and I will find myself just sort of saying the same thing over and over again. And
so I try to mix it up with different lies and, like, keep it fresh. Like, oh, sorry, I had to go walk my dog real quick. That's why I was standing there ominously.
Oh, yeah. I'm AFK.
Alright, I'm gonna... This was an asshole move, I admit, but I want you to tell me how much of an asshole move this was.
Okay.
So, I was playing a game, I was the imposter. I didn't even realize I was standing still for apparently as long as I was, but someone called me out on it in, like, the meeting time. Mm-hmm. And they were like, why were you standing by this thing for so long? And I was like, and I just said, oh, I had to answer a text. And I was answering a text, that's why. And then, you know, keeps going, the match keeps going. Like, I didn't get voted out. They're like, okay, sure, fair enough. And I won. And then people were like, oh, that's not fair. Like, you said something outside of the game as an excuse for in the game. And I'm like, I don't, like, yes, it was kind of a dick move, but I don't think that's, like...
That is complete. There is nothing wrong with that. Okay, you say whatever you can.
That's my mindset. It's like, as long as, like, if you were, like, you know, in a Discord, people and, like, talking in the round and, like, using that as a manipulation tactic, that's one thing. But I feel like in the discussion time, anything is fair game.
Well, yeah, and I feel like after you've played this game enough, you should learn if you are somebody trying to figure out who the imposter is, that you can't believe anything that anybody says unless you can back it up with hard facts. And if you are somebody who's not an imposter but being blamed for it, you should know that being distracted with anything away from the game will make you suspect.
Yeah. And it's like, it's unfortunate, and yes, it was, like, because I was very adamant about it. I was like, yeah, I had to answer a text real quick, I'm sorry, it's like, whatever, but, like, I'm always that adamant about defending myself, even if I'm not the imposter.
Well, and that is definitely a factor, how vehemently you will defend yourself.
Yeah, like, that's the thing is, like, I genuinely just get very caught up in it. And, like, because people will, like, will say that's, like, a tell of mine, but yet, A, I keep winning. And B, like, that's the thing is, like, I feel like people only notice it after the fact when it turns out I was the imposter, because I feel like I always defended myself that adamantly, even if I'm, like, falsely accused, and I'm not the imposter. Like, I'm always very, like, defensive in those games across the board, which makes it easier to, like, when I am the imposter, win as a result of it.
See, and I'm the opposite. I acquiesce too easily. Like, if I'm the imposter, I'll be like, yo, guys, it's not me, but, like, whatever. Vote me off if you need to.
Oh, no, I won't say anything.
And then they do, and then I'm sad.
See, that's the thing. Is, like, I've seen so many people, like, and I get, like, lying is not something most people want to do. Like, typically I don't either, but, like, in these kind of games, you gotta go all out, man.
Well, I'm just so afraid. Well, and I mean, I will lie. I'll be like, oh, I was in such and such, and I will be the imposter, and I will get voted off for things I didn't do, for murders I didn't commit, and for, like, people will come at me saying I wasn't doing tasks that, like, I was actually believably fake tasking.
Yeah.
And I will get caught just because, like, people will get it in their minds, like, oh, I think it's Seth. Click vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's, like, and I feel like that's why, like, my play style works for me so well as an imposter, is, like, I feel like you kind of have to be a little aggressive and just be like, no, of course, and, like, you throw people under the bus, be like, no, it was actually, like, I love when, like, my favorite thing to pull off is when someone watches me kill somebody, and I self-report and immediately say it was them that killed them, and when it works out, that's so much fun. Yeah. It rarely works out, but if you're pushy enough, sometimes it works.
What I have learned from this game is that I never want to be in any sort of base under siege scenario with the people I know.
It could
we
be
will
me
turn on each other
the
very
back.
quickly.
See, like, I feel genuinely guilty now about how I play these games, because, like, I feel like I'm a trustworthy human, but I like to kill people in these games. It's my only outlet to be a liar, because I'm not an asshole in real life.
Oh man, it's so violent too. You just like
it just rips people apart. You see their bones sticking out, a sinkhole bone. Okay, so obviously the imposter is an alien, but, like, I'm kind of under the theory that they're all aliens. They don't have human anatomy.
They definitely do not look human.
Yeah, like, people, like, someone said that the other night, like, oh, obviously the imposter's an alien, like, but everyone else is a human. It's like, you know what? I don't think that's true. I think they're all aliens. Maybe the imposter is a different alien, or maybe he's just a bad guy. Maybe he's just an asshole.
Maybe we're all capable of unhinging our jaws like that and stabbing people with our tongues, but
choose not
we just
to,
don't
we're
do it.
Civilized. It's not something you do, Seth. It's manners. Basic common decency. Don't stab people with your tongue.
Oh,
Unless they want you to.
Poke you with my tongue.
Oh, you better.
Penetrate you all night.
Wow, that escalated.
With my tongue, of course.
Does that make that better? You realize that can penetrate too, right?
Oh, believe me, I'm aware. Wink.
Jesus, take the wheel. Yeah, so any other thoughts? Anything you want to bring up?
I did think, and I'm sure this is already being worked on because it's sort of played around with TikToks and YouTube videos that people have made. But this setup would be very ideal to do another sort of red versus blue sort of setup. Obviously,
like
the maps are not... Yeah, like, the maps are not very big, but I could very easily see somebody doing this as a sitcom. And just sort of playing the... writing up stories and having the characters do stuff around the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And putting, voiceovers over it.
To do, though, with, just from a filmmaking standpoint, because it's a top-down view. So, it's not like you can get a wide variety of shots like you could do in Red vs. Blue with Halo.
That's true.
I guess my worry is, I don't know if you can make it a full, legit show like Red vs. Blue became, but, maybe a series of, skits and sketches, or, an ongoing, show, but it's, little 5-minute episodes that just, there's a little different joke or theme in each one.
Yeah.
Would probably be the best way to go about that. I think it's possible. Is that what we're going to make? Is that our next project?
That's our next project. We're gonna make the whatchamacallit show.
That's what it's called, the Whatchamacallit show,
show.
starring Whatcha and McCall, and it's kind of dumb.
It's my favorite. How dare!
But yeah, it's a fun game. I've enjoyed it. I don't see, at least for me personally, I don't see myself sticking with this one for an incredibly long time.
No.
Like
I know they're going to put in updates, and I'm sure they'll add new maps and new features and stuff. But I mean, this is there are people who are going to play this for years.
Yeah.
But this is very much a fad game. Like, I'm already, like, I still enjoy playing it, but I'm so used to it now that it's lost that.
That's the thing is it's repetitive at a certain point. Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
For me, because, like, I don't play online and I don't plan to, it's for more the social element. But, like, again, like, especially when I'm always the imposter, like, it gets repetitive. Like, you do the same things. There's, like, you have a crew tactic and you have an imposter tactic. And that's kind of it. Like, there's not a whole lot of variance there. So I don't know how long the lifespan of this game is going to be, but it is fun. And, like, I do enjoy, like, social games like this. Like, that's why I love, like, in the Jackbox Party Pack, I love Faking It. I love Push the Button. I love even Fibbage to a degree, not as much as the others, but, like, things where you kind of have to, like, defend yourself and, like, explain how things work and, like, how your side is correct even if you're adamantly in the wrong. I like that social element, that you have to talk, you have to... It's a really good, like, icebreaker game if you want to not trust anyone ever.
If you want to completely and irrevocably damage all of your friendships.
Yeah, just ruin any credibility you ever had with any of your loved ones. It's a game for you.
It's great. Try it out.
That said, I am pro Among Us. I think it's a fun game. It's nice. It's cute. I enjoy it. Check it out if you haven't already.
I am also pro Among Us.
There you go. And that's it.
That's that.
Should we dive right into the mystery subject of the week?
Yes, we shall. I am very excited. Okay, I want to talk to you about a topic in general. How familiar are you with like the story of the Roanoke colony?
Pretty decently. It's been a while since I've studied up on them, but I did like have a point in my life where I was very fascinated by it and read up on them a lot.
Well, I am going to send you an article, a New York Times article that just came out, and have you read it. I think I might have read
this article.
Probably, and we'll talk about it.
Interesting. This is the first article.
Yeah.
Interesting. We're mixing it up here.
Look, it's New York Times. We're smart.
We're educated. We're learned. Me smarts. Me know the words. Okay. I have read it.
Okay. So, essentially, well, I mean, if you're unfamiliar with the concept of the Roanoke colony, when England, when all of the Western European powers had gotten done sort of exploring the Americas for a good 100 years or so, and we're finally like, ooh, okay, so we don't care about the people who already live there. We're gonna start snatching this up. England started putting out its feelers for a colony, starting with a colony on Roanoke Island in what is now North Carolina. And that was the first attempt the English made. The first one didn't have enough supplies and didn't last the winter. And the second attempt at a colony on the island, it seemed to do pretty well. It lasted a couple years, but there were all these different sort of factors going on with surrounding Native American tribes. Eventually, when a supply ship came from England to come restock and visit the colony, they found all of the colonists gone, all of their possessions packed up and gone, but no sign of a struggle, and like no indication that they'd been kidnapped or anything. And so it kind of became this urban legend of like the lost colony. What happened to all of these people who just went missing because they were never seen from again? And so what what I just had Philip read was a New York Times article essentially talking about how we've known what's happened to the colonists the whole time. We just kind of ignored it because it made for a more interesting story.
Yeah, so I've known about the Roanoke, like, various stories and basically mythos for
It's something it's something most people learn about in school.
Yeah, and it's always been a interesting thing in that, like, it's like, up until recently, it's been no one knows, but like people still are interested about it, but yet no one actually dives into it much, I guess. There's like, oh, they're just gone, whoopsie. Except History Channel at 4 a.m. They told me the truth. That aliens took the Roanoke colony.
Duh.
Yeah,
I could have told you that.
Yeah, that's what the article should have been about. The truth. It is weird that, like, because, Croatoan was always, like, I honestly didn't know until recently that it was even a tribe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had been told growing up that nobody knew what Croatoan meant. Oh, sorry. There's a bug.
Jesus! You lost your shit. No one knew! God damn it, no one knew!
No one knew! But yeah, I had been told growing up that nobody knew what Croatoan meant. It was some mystery word. And in pop culture, whenever you see something reference the Roanoke colony, Croatoan is usually like, it's like a spell or like a magic word. But no, it was, not only was it the name of a tribe of people who lived in the area, it was the name of the island, like a couple miles south from Roanoke Island.
Yeah.
And so essentially what happened... Oh, yeah, I didn't say this in my summary, but y'all should be familiar with the story. The only trace that was left of the colonists was in a bunch of trees around the settlement, whereas the word Croatoan carved in. We know from accounts of the English ship that came to restock the colony, that, like, from the diary accounts, oh, Croatoan is written on the tree. We told them that if anything happens to the settlement, they should give us an indication on the tree where they plan on going. I bet they probably went to nearby Croatoan Island.
Did they just, like, did they just not know that the island was called Croatoan? Like, the people who came back to find them?
They did. Like, they wrote in the journal entry, they're like, we bet they went to Croatoan Island, but nobody ever bothered to look around too much for them.
It's so weird that became such a... it's a big part of the American mythos.
Yeah.
Just like, we have the lost colony, and there's been so many, like... I remember there were, like, big documentary specials of, like, we found this secret thing hidden in a well at Roanoke that we think maybe leads to what maybe happened to them, and then the end had no real conclusive answer either. And, like, obviously they even say in the article, like, this is still a theory, technically.
Yeah.
And, like, there are people that dispute it and think that, no, this happened. But, like, that is the most likely theory as of this moment.
Well, even though people never explored, or they never... I think some people did sort of check out Croatoan Island to see if they could find them, but even though nobody ever looked too hard to try and find them, when people went to Croatoan Island, which is now Hatteras Island, when people went there, like, a couple of generations later, the Native Americans that lived there had European features and, like, gray eyes, and they were like, oh yeah, we had some European ancestors. And it's like, oh, I wonder what happened to all the colonists. From,
yeah.
Well, and I mean, once you look at all the facts, it does seem so obvious. There was they had this rival tribe in the area, the Secotans, I believe they were called, and they had this friendly tribe, the Croatoans, and the Croatoans were probably like, okay, so the Secotans they seem like they're gonna come and invade the island. We should probably go to the better defensible island nearby that we all live on. And they're like, yeah, that probably sounds like a good idea. Let's go with them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, because it's so obvious, kind of adds on a new insidious layer to it, though. Because the other explanation that has been passed around over the years, other than they just moved in with the Native Americans, was that they were killed by the Native Americans. And that's sort of, that I'm sure that came about by around that time a number of different settlements, like in Virginia and North Carolina, were getting raided and sort of having skirmishes with Native American groups. But when it comes down to it, I mean, it was used as justification for people coming in and essentially attacking and forcing the Native Americans out.
To incite colonists being violent against Native Americans.
It's almost as if it was more convenient not to ever figure out what happened to the colonists.
I mean, probably. It became a propaganda tool, which is very disappointing, because it could have been a story of how to make peace and coexist among two people from two different groups, but instead it became used as a tool for fear and hate and bigotry, and it's very unfortunate. That's why I think it was aliens.
Which is why it was probably just aliens.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. I love that hair guy. I don't know his name. I don't know.
I forget his name.
I think he's still doing that. I think he's just the alien guy. And you know what? I respect that career choice.
I feel bad for the History Channel, because my dad used to watch the History Channel all the time when I was a kid, and it seemed pretty reputable.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty, it was always really interesting. And I remember by the time I got to middle school, when I started getting involved on the internet, the History Channel was just a massive joke.
Yeah.
People would always use it as, these are crazy people talking about history. And I was like, oh, that's sad.
Well, it because they did the, I forget the actual name, but it's the America series, right? The one that's I'm pretty sure it was History Channel that did it. It's this very famous series. It was a mini series that chronicled pretty much every major historical event in America, and it did dramatic reenactments of all of them with the narrator talking over them.
Ooh, America: The Story of Us.
Yes, that was History Channel, right?
Yeah.
That is the documentary miniseries. That is it was always shown in schools. It was people that is the example of a documentary miniseries, and they did that, and they clearly were up to snuff. But then I don't know if it was an attempt to get viewership or what, but they started doing the weird wacky conspiracy theories, and they started doing ancient aliens, and half their shows now are people just going into storage lockers and stuff and being man, look at this old thing, that's cool, how much can I sell it for? That's half their shows. And I guess there's that one show, I forget what it's called, but it's Chopped but for making swords. I think it's called Forged or something, but it's literally it's a competition game show.
I think I've heard of that,
where they make swords and have it judged by actual blacksmiths and swordsmen, and that's kind of cool. But other than that, it's all, and again, even that's they went for wweird reality shows and stuff, and it's why? I know you want to try and do stunts to boost viewership, but I feel you have your niche. You knew what your niche was gonna be when you decided to make the History Channel.
Yeah, and Well, I feel like there were like enough people into that niche.
I remember I have no idea what the show was, but there was of course I like this show. There was a show that like explored all the different like old like historic torture methods, and I learned a lot about them from the History Channel. It's very exciting.
Did you use them on the chickens?
I did. They didn't like the brass bowl.
I can imagine not. I'm quite partial to the one where you trap somebody in between two boats and push them out into the water to be attacked by flies.
Keel hulling's another fun one. I love keel hulling. I like the one that's literally they just put them in like a wooden like ball, like they lock them in this like wooden cage and just roll them over the side of a cliff and watch them bounce around as they fumble to their deaths. They're very creative back in the olden days. Why can't we kill people in more creative ways now?
I feel like I saw that on 20,000 Maniacs.
But Iron Maiden was good. Oh, man, there's one where they... I know a lot about old torture methods. Thanks to the History Channel.
Unfortunately, we all out of times.
You ever wonder, like, there's so many people with different weird niche interests and knowledge and things? And then mine is old historic torture methods. And yours is like state flags and state capitals.
So anyway, bringing it back to Roanoke. Well, I mean, this is a hard one to rank, but like, I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think the story is really interesting, and like how it's evolved over time is interesting. But seeing as the reason why it's a big story is for genocidal propaganda, I think I'm going to have to go, I'm anti the Lost Colony.
Well, that's the thing, is because it probably wasn't lost, you know? I am pro learning the truth about Roanoke, and like... And I think it's still interesting. Like, it's an interesting concept. Like, a lost colony is like same thing with like Atlantis. Like, it's a cool. It captures our imagination. It's like we like the idea of something being lost and like, oh, where'd it go? It's like that element is cool from a storytelling aspect. It's the genocidal propaganda element that is incredibly problematic. It doesn't even closely describe it. It's. So yeah, that's fucked. But I get the appeal of the general idea of like wanting to know the truth about something that no one knows the truth about, even if the truth is actually really obvious. It's what captures our curiosity, and that really, I think, latched people onto the myth over the truth.
So anti-genocidal propaganda,
yes,
but pro the truth, pro the story of the lost colony, and you know what? Pro the Roanoke colony in being, a story of, albeit very temporary, but,
unity and, like, coexisting peacefully.
Yeah.
To our knowledge, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, allegedly.
This is the first time allegedly has been used in like a good sense. Like, allegedly, they might have been good. Hopefully.
Damn.
Gotta have one of them be good. Hopefully, I wish. All right, I think that's about it. Should we fire up next week's thingamabob?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So, our first topic for next week is fast food restaurants.
Okay.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I think we can get some good convo out of that. And our media subject for next week is Weird Al Yankovic. Let's get trapped in that drive-thru. Fuck yeah.
Hey, it's always an Amish paradise with you, Philip.
Yeah, well, we are both very white and nerdy.
Very white and nerdy.
It's crazy thinking about like the first episode we ever made, with cocoa and milk. You could say that's where the saga begins. That doesn't work grammatically.
I mean, look, it's hard for you to accept the fact that you're really bad at making these puns, but I mean, eventually you just gotta eat it, man.
Fat.
You're right, Philip. You are.
Hell yeah, I am. Watch me jiggle.
Oh god.
Yeah, so tune in.
So hey,
That'll be a fun one.
Come here next week for fast food and Weird Al. It's gonna be a great one. Can't wait to see y'all.
Nom 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 nom. That's me eating the fast food.
I'm Seth.
I'm Philip. Welcome to the Fruit Neighbors podcast.
Have a good night.
Good night.